Matrix Energetics is the wildest, wooliest, most free-form, make it up as you go along approach to real, applied, everyday magic that I have ever encountered. And it works. I've seen and experienced things in Matrix Energetics workshops that I can only describe as miracles. If and only if you're ready for the wonder, the possibilities, and the wild unpredictability that comes from opening yourself up to a life of everyday magic, Matrix Energetics might be just what you're looking for. I also want to thank Richard Bartlett, the founder of Matrix Energetics, for being, along with Robert Anton Wilson, one of the few people I've come across who writes books, teaches workshops, and includes in his material a wide variety of references to maps, books, workshops created by other people. He's not just teaching his own proprietary system like most of the New Age teachers and leaders out there, but rather points in all different sorts of directions that he thinks might be useful to his audience. Both Richard Bartlett and Anton Wilson have been an example to me in this regard, and this is one of my intents, is to follow that tradition of not only sharing my own maps that I've created, but telling you about as many other maps as I've come across that I've found to be useful as possible. I learned a lot of other things in my Matrix Energetics training, many of them being variation of the theme of just how wide open the world of possibility is. The one thing about Matrix Energetics that turned out to be most revolutionary for me personally grew out of something that they didn't say in the workshop. It started with a technique called the 2-point, which is one of the simplest matrix techniques and one of the first ones that they teach. They offer several different descriptions of the 2-point technique, one of which is drop down, set intent, and let go. The setting intent part and the letting go part are both fairly well explained, and also were things that I already had a pretty clear understanding of. The dropping down part, on the other hand, was something that was much more subtle and elusive. In fact, my experience was that they didn't so much define or explain dropping down in the workshop as they demonstrated it. And the way that that works is that a typical matrix workshop would have, say, 300 people in it, and it's not uncommon for somewhere around 100 of those to be repeat attendees. They come back for a lot of different reasons, some just because it's so much fun. Matrix workshops are a riot, there's lots of laughing, and some people come back just for that. But also people come back just to be in the field that is created, and also because some parts of the learning are enhanced by coming back over and over again, such as learning to drop down. When they're teaching the 2-point, they have the entire room go through each of the steps, drop down, set intent, let go, together in unison as a room. Well, with 100 or so people there that have done this before and already know how to make the state change, the shift that they're describing and that they're wanting everybody to make, those people can do it easily because they have prior experience. And with 100 people making the same state change in unison, there's a resonant field created, and people who sort of get it and have a general idea what direction to go can sort of ride that field and use it for guidance, and it makes it much easier for people to learn to make this hard to describe state change that they call dropping down. By the time you've done that several times in a row as a group in unison, it's getting easier, more people are doing it more successfully, the field gets stronger, and that whole process sort of snowballs until almost everyone in the room is successfully having an experience of dropping down, even if it's not something that they can really describe clearly how they got there or what it is. Some of those people leave the workshop able to make that shift even without the support of the resonant field, even after their first workshop. Other people find that the longer it's been since their workshop, and if they haven't practiced a lot, they sort of forget how to make that shift, especially since they don't have any words or instructions they can reference, and they end up going back for another workshop so they can have some additional experiences to draw on until that becomes a shift that they can make easily and on their own in their everyday life. The first time I attended a Matrix workshop, I actually attended levels 1, 2, and 3 back to back. So I was doing Matrix workshops for close to 8 days in a row, and by the time I left, I had a very clear sense of my ability to drop down on my own, even outside the field, but I didn't have a description of what I was doing. And being who I am, and wanting to share the maps that I find useful, I really wanted to have words for this. I really wanted to be able to teach other people to drop down, and I didn't have access to a field being generated by several hundred people doing it all at once. So I started watching what it was that I was doing when I made that shift, and observing myself and using my NLP tools to model the process. And I asked myself a question when I was doing this: what is it that drops down when I drop down? What is moving? And for that matter, where is it moving from and where is it moving to? And almost as soon as I asked this question, I found myself remembering that there seemed to be a lot of other phrases and concepts in the world of New Age spirituality and personal improvement that referred to some part of ourselves that moves around independent of the body, but almost none of them name it. The phrases I'm speaking of are things like being up in your head, coming from the heart. What's moving from your head to your heart, and how does it move, and how does it move relative to your body? It's not your body that's moving. Most people say that the soul occupies the entire body, and that the spirit doesn't have a specific location in space and time. So what's moving when you move out of your head and into your heart? What's traveling in time when you're living in the past or off somewhere in the future? And what is it that can be in your body or not in your body? So in considering all of these questions, I found myself remembering the stream of energy and the focal point from Law of Attraction, and wondering whether maybe this part that moves might be at the other end of the stream, the end that you focus from rather than the end that you focus on. Maybe that's what was moving when I dropped down.